Thanks so much. Hi, my name is Laurence Kemball-Cook. I'm the founder and CEO of Pavegen. Imagine if your walk to work in the morning could power the lights during your walk home in the evening. Now, because it's the morning and the theme of this conference is all about disruption, I want to ask everyone to please stand up, right in the back, right at the front. Could everyone just stand up, please? Even if you've got your laptops, just stand up. Okay, so when I count to 3, I want everyone to do a little jump, okay? So are we ready? Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much. You can sit down now. So you just created enough energy to charge up to 4 cell phones and to power a street light for nearly an hour. So I'm fascinated by the built environment and especially about kinetic energy. So today I'm going to talk a bit about my journey in taking an idea on a piece of paper I had in 2009 through to where we are today. So I used to work at one of Europe's largest energy companies. And when I was there as an engineer, I was in charge of an idea where we were going to power street lighting from solar and from wind in cities. Now, I failed. We couldn't find a way that we could harness these forms of renewable energy in urban environments. When the sun's not shining and when the wind's not blowing, there's no power. So after I failed, I returned to Loughborough University, which is the equivalent of MIT, for example, in the United Kingdom, and kept looking at this area. And I thought, what if we could create a power source that was created power when and where you needed it, that was directly under our feet and could be a commercial product? So I created Pavegen. So it's a floor tile that as you walk, it converts every step you make into electrical power. It generates about 7 watts of power over the duration of a footstep at 12 volts. It's made from recycled materials. It can store the energy, and you can do loads of neat stuff with it. In terms of what we've done since we've grown it, we've built in things like data, live data feeds out of it, so you can actually start to create that smart city just from people moving. And the aims with it is to power the street lights, advertising, anything in a city that needs power can be connected to this. So we work across the infrastructure space with large retailers, with brands like Nike and Adidas. And in terms of the journey, so it started out, we had a prototype made from wood, held together with a piece of duct tape, some chewing gum, holding it together as a prototype. And the aim was to figure out how we could take this forward from just the early stage concept. So I believe that entrepreneurs and those in the audience today should know no boundaries. If you've got to break a law to make your idea happen, do it. As long as don't murder anyone, but you've just got to believe in your idea and be determined to make it succeed. So part of that was, at the early days, was taking it to building sites at night time, carrying the product and installing it illegally in a building site, just so we knew how to do it. No one would let us do it in the early days. And then we would show our clients, we installed it in a building site. They didn't know it was 2 in the morning, and we had balaclavas on, but it was all part of that journey. And then we looked at taking it to schools. So this is a footage of the first installation we ever did. We had no permission to take it to a school. We laid it in, and this is what happened.
No, I'm so impressed by this. I want to stand on it for ages. Wait. Yay! This is fun.
So we realized we've made energy saving fun. And is that even a good thing? And around the gamification of power. This is my favorite machine. It's really important, as we started engineering it, to build it suitable for all environments. And the problem we had is, when you're building a prototype and you're trying to sell it, people need to know how viable it is as a client. Will it break? Will it be buggy? Will this software crash if I take it across all my servers? So I believe in putting your money where your mouth is and taking engineering to a stage where you can completely de-risk it. So we made another video to show how much more durable we could make it. So effectively, we'd created a tidal energy device, but it proved the technology works. We had to simulate high footfall environments. This is what I call the human caterpillar of how we harness that energy. We also had to make sure that even a 50-stone woman in stiletto heels would survive on the product. We couldn't find a real one, so we had a machine to simulate that. Then we took it to a school that was allowed, that they paid for, and now I have 1,100 students who devote their lives to destroying Pavegen. They haven't succeeded yet, and now they power the lights in their corridor by walking through it every day, and it's had over 30 million steps in that environment. So what I've talked about there is what happened in the early stages. We're still at a point where, for us, it's about creating value rather than profit, but we're on that transition. We've got a lot of growing to do and a lot of stuff to fix, but that's a really good part of growing a kind of a hardware technology out there. So right now, today, we've done a couple of funding rounds, we're VC backed, but we're still looking at what's next. And these are some of the final things that led up to us getting to that transition point. We had a small publication in England write about us, then a few more people wrote about us, and then everyone started writing about us. And then off the back of that, will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas phoned me up and said, "What's up? Could we have a Pavegen?" And we're working with him now. And also the Prime Minister of the UK said he'd like to have some in 10 Downing Street. We then won lots of awards for the technology, and awards, they feel really good when you win it, and you can walk around and hold it. But for me, awards mean nothing. It's all about the engineering and really focusing on product. So we'd grown it, we'd been developing technology, and this is a bit of what happened next for us.
Paris Marathon. 40,000 runners going to take those streets of Paris.
So you can see in that, we took it to offices, we took it to train stations, we took it to the biggest shopping centers in Europe. We even took it to the Mall of Athens last year. We used it at festivals, we learned a lot about it, we charged cell phones. In the office environment, it can be laid in the floor, inside, outside, matched to any kind of flooring that's already there. But the most interesting one was in a train station. So in a train station, you've got lots of people moving, huge amount of footfall, and there's a big opportunity to harness it. Now, as a startup, we had the idea, the nice rendering, but actually we had to go through a point of having that idea and actually delivering it and working with the biggest transportation groups in the world and going through that whole engineering process and working professionally, having the right teams and certification to do that. This was at West Ham Tube Station in London, and this is what happened. So what you can see there is we lowered in 12 units. We took that energy and we powered all the lights in the station itself. And the first time it's ever been done in a commercial environment. We took it to Singapore. We made dance floors. We made a dance floor that tweeted using our API. And then we took that, it went viral off the back of the tweets from people dancing. And things like the Paris Marathon. We managed to persuade one of the largest electrical engineering companies in the world to create the first low-carbon marathon, to actually cover the whole Champs-Élysées, it's the most famous road in the world, in Pavegen tiles. And we used the energy, we stored it, and we showed and communicated to people what could be done with that power. In terms of what we're doing, and I think it's all about value creation and intellectual property to create real value in a startup. So we're looking to take our core IP and put it into other things. So the smart city of the future is one where the floor generates power and talks to other devices, but so does the buildings, the bridges, anywhere where things move, we can harness energy from that using what we do. Now, there's a lot of entrepreneurs here today and a lot of ideas, and I think the challenge of scale is really important to understand and know where the shortfalls can happen. See, at Pavegen, we've nearly died 10 times, and it's all about, I call it, crossing the chasm of doom. Now, when you first scale an idea, people will pay a lot for it. People will pay 2,000 euros for an iPad, but only a very, very small amount of people. The key thing is to get over the first part of scale and then develop for mass market, to industrialize, to scale your sales team, to recruit a great team. And that chasm is the gap between being a startup with a niche idea and actually scaling your kind of sales revenue. Now, every decision you make through this journey has got to be right. Otherwise, you can die. So, for example, if you build a factory and it's too big and you haven't got the demand, you can just die from that. I think when we've been close, the solution for us is we work harder. We're really, really focused on the solution, and it's about trading your way out of it. Working all night, making sure you reach out to the right partners to help it do it. So luckily, we missed the point of dying, and we're on that kind of curve, that transition to scale and mass market. And that bell curve is the innovation bell curve, and at the end of it is when technology is obsolete, when the first cell phone that was the size of a briefcase came to the end of it. And we're seeing, with companies like Apple and Samsung, that bell curve is getting really short in terms of how it's developing. Now, in terms of the clean tech market, we see ourselves as one of the kind of key technologies in the future to power our cities. But I think there's really interesting things happening right now in terms of things like fuel cells. We've seen solar get really, really cheap at the moment, and that's opening up lots of opportunities. And key things like storage. No one's figured out storage yet. And there's a lot of talk about it, and it could be 5 years, 10 years down the line until we see technology like graphene becoming a standard and becoming really efficient to store it. And that's a big part of what we're looking at here at Pavegen. So where we see it is that every floor tile will be Pavegen, and we can actually produce our product at the same price as normal flooring, along the same lines as what happened with solar as that scaled. And that means that the smart city of the future, everything will be connected, all the data will be free-flowing, allowing smart management of buildings. It could be resource efficient, and it can actually help to lower the carbon footprint, which we know we've all got to do. So I have a Pavegen here that everyone feels free to try later on. And my view is that when all of you walk to work in the next few years, every step you take will be on a Pavegen. Thank you.